Hola, Vincenzo.
Hey, Lali, how are you?
It's a good day when I get to talk to you, Vincenzo.
Make me blush.
I don't think people realize, perhaps, that you and I aren't in the same city, so we don't see each other all the time.
No, no, I know. It's okay though, because this is how we meet people, right? And it's like you just have to be open to other, I guess, globalization, I'll say, which has really opened opened us up to meeting quite a few really cool people, like the guest of the podcast that we have that you're going to listen to very shortly. I met this person same way I meet a lot of folks in the motorsport world, which is online. And I actually subscribed to her newsletter because I really liked what she was doing. Visuals were incredible, felt really magazine like, and was putting a lot of effort into how things, just like design language of posts on Instagram. And then every time she posted her newsletter, I was like, wow, this is really well done. And a lot of cool collaborations with other creators and giving voices to a lot of other folks in different, in different areas around the world, showing up at like all the Grand Prix. And I'm like, how are you going to all these Grand Prix? And I realized like she wasn't going to all these Grand Prix. She's leveraging almost like correspondence essentially, right? Like another creator, maybe a small creator in like Abu Dhabi to be at the race, or someone in Miami to be at the race and then cover it. I'm like, wow, this is really, really cool. So I ended up subscribing to her newsletter, paid subscription. Then she came out with a physical hard copy of it. Beautiful, beautiful book, which I showed off in this episode. She had some really, really great people featured in it, but also on the cover.
Wow.
Cassidy Towris, Dan Towris's wife, was on the cover. If you don't know who that is, she is the brand advisor to the Cadillac F1 team, but it is Dan Towris, the owner of the team, his wife as well. So she had that. I'm like, wow, this person is crushing it. And so I invited her onto the podcast, and she was like, absolutely. I've never done a podcast before. Yeah, and that was it. I mean, like, had her on the show. Esmé Buxton of the Paddock Journal.
So she
Is the
wants it
guest.
to be known that she's not related to Will Buxton. This
Yeah.
matters to her.
Crazy. It's like the second Buxton we've ever had on the show.
So here's something really interesting. Usually, except in two occasions, when we have guests on the podcast, I know a lot about our guests. It's very common because it's people whose careers I followed, that I admire, who I've grown up watching racing, which I still is quite shocking to me that we get the guests we get. Only 2 times have I had the privilege of speaking to a guest that I didn't know that much about. And both were people you introduced me to, and I'm so grateful. One was Shami Kalra.
Yes.
The episode came out a week or 2 ago from Omologato Watches.
Yep.
And then also Esmé. I didn't know that much about Esmé when I interviewed her alongside Vincenzo. And it's fascinating when you interview someone you don't know that much about, because you're sort of peeling the layers of the onion in real time. You're really learning about this person. And I kind of developed a bit of a crush, to be quite frank, as we were talking to her, because I was so fascinated with this woman, with her drive, how she carries herself, the way she speaks. She's so creative, but also so kind and humble. She's one of those people that you really want to do well. Like, you're like, oh man, I really want you to crush it and do well. You
Absolutely.
have such a unique voice. So I really am grateful you introduced me to her. I'm so happy to follow along with the Paddock Journal and everything she's doing. I'm very glad that she's now sort of a friend of Business of Speed, and we hope to do things with her and run into her at a racetrack, hopefully as soon as possible. And I hope people enjoy this episode, because she is a wonderful woman and her voice deserves to be heard. And if you haven't subscribed to the Paddock Journal, please do so. It's a wonderful, wonderful newsletter.
Yeah. I one last thing on before we jump into it. I wouldn't even necessarily call Esmé a creator, although she is, because she is a very, very what's the word I'm looking for? She's an excellent photographer with a great portfolio. So she's done a lot in that world, fashion and editorial before that. But some might ask, like, what does this have to do with the business of speed? And to me, creator economy is so important to how motorsport is being consumed now that we would be remiss is it remiss? I don't know.
Yeah.
To not have a creator on the show, or somebody that's involved in that. And again, this is somebody who's putting a lot of time and effort into the content that's being created, and creating real stories around what they're writing about, what she's writing about, the photos that are being taken and whatnot. So anyway, enjoy this conversation with Esmé Buxton, and let us know what you think of it.
Hola, Vincenzo.
Lali, you have this is ironic. This is not the first Buxton we've had on the show.
It is true. And also we're like on a really good Brit sprint because we've had quite a few now.
We've had quite a few, yeah. And we'll have another one, right? Coming up, too.
We have a couple coming up, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, not the first Buxton, which I thought of going into it, like before we started recording. I said, oh, wait a minute. It's also another Buxton. So for those of you that don't know, this is Esmé Buxton. And Esmé and I have never met in person, but I have followed along with the Paddock Journal, which is her Substack. But it's not just a Substack anymore, newsletter. It's also a physical copy. So I have the physical copy here. I was one of the many, actually. There was a lot of people that got this. Physical media, which is what I think got me most excited and spurred this conversation because, number one, you don't see a lot of physical media anymore. Number two, you don't see as many people that go into the creator route. Now you have a career behind you too, so I don't want to downplay you as just a creator that came about recently. But people don't think writing and then physical media, right? It's videos, it's TikTok, it's short 20-second clip, it's things like that. And here it is, you're going completely the opposite route, which is what really, really drew me to your content. And I love what you produce anyway. So welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. It's so nice to properly meet you both. I've been fans for a while, so yeah, this is really fun.
Well, like I said, I have been following along, and I think something that is very telling is the quality of the work that you put out. You can't put out a physical magazine to the level that, first of all, you have Cassidy Towers on the cover.
Yep.
Which I believe you shot that in Miami, right?
Yeah. We went out to her home and photographed her there. Yeah, that was incredible.
So, I mean, you don't have the level of guest. You have Laura Winter in here as well. You have, I think, Alex Jakes is in there, Jenny Galvin. You have there's a lot of big names in the Formula One world that are in the physical copy here. But tell me, what was it that made you want to create a physical, beautiful, a coffee table style book from your newsletter? What made you go from newsletter to that? That's a big jump.
Yeah, big jump. Very, very good question. I think, well, first of all, my background is in fashion photography. That's sort of where I've started. And that's how I'm approaching the world of F1 is from the lens of editorial, fashion, storytelling culture, right? And so for me, a magazine was always kind of the end goal. To be honest with you, I didn't expect to do it so soon. We started the Paddock Journal as an Instagram and Substack in March 2025. And by, I think, what was it? September, October, we were like, cool, let's make a magazine. And honestly, Vincenzo, it was crazy. We did it in 2 months. I don't know how anybody does monthly magazines. Well, I guess they have 4 teams. We were 3 people.
And funding, of course,
Right. This is all self-funded.
A lot of people don't realize how much print costs. It's crazy.
It is, yeah. It's a crazy amount of money. And I just think what I was seeing in the F1 space was, like you say, a lot of digital content, a lot of that kind of creator economy is growing and growing and growing, which is incredible. But I personally was missing that editorial lens, that kind of storytelling lens that you do get in other sports, basketball, soccer, football, there is a bit more of a cultural lens that people view it through. And I was surprised that there wasn't that in F1 as much that I could see.
Do you think now, because your content, first of all, Vincenzo introduced me to you, so I'm very grateful because I've followed along and I love what you do. And I do think it's so unique. Do you think now that the kind of content you're producing, what you're doing, it's sort of in its own silo, that there's people who follow you who are into the lifestyle and the world around F1, but maybe not necessarily are following the races or free practice or qualifying? How much of your audience is just into the lifestyle around it?
Yeah, that's super interesting because I thought it would be higher than it actually is. I definitely expected it to be more of a drive to survive cohort that found us and are interested in what we're doing. But I've been really pleasantly surprised that we've had a large sort of old school kind of group as well, and people that are just understanding that, Formula One, yes, it's motorsport, but it's an entire ecosystem as well. And I've been told by several people that if we created the Paddock Journal 5 years ago, it would have died instantly.
Yep.
And if we created it 5 years in the future, it would be so saturated that we would probably have, been moved into oblivion. So I think we've really just captured something at exactly the right time. And I wish I could tell you what that is.
Isn't that the thing about life, right? It's timing with everything in life. It's timing, and I'm so glad for you that you found the exact timing. And I'm very surprised to hear that a lot of your audience are actually not surprised, but I just was curious about that. How many?
Yeah.
Because I have friends who only follow sort of the lifestyle around F1. They could be in an elevator with Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, and they wouldn't know. But they know about Lewis Hamilton. They know who he's dating. They know that he showed up at the Met Gala. So I do find that there are some people, at least in my circle, who follow the lifestyle, but not the racing.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely those people. But if we put a post out, I think we put something out recently about old test liveries and the more interesting test liveries. And I thought people wouldn't necessarily, or our audience necessarily, care about that. But there was people that were telling us information that we didn't even know, back in 1985, there was blah, blah, blah. And these are young women a lot of the time, So I think it is, and maybe you guys find it as well, but when you start to love the sport, you want to know everything about the sport,
Yeah.
And I'm really finding that with our audience, which is cool.
I think by nature, Formula One, and Lali and I have been watching the sport probably right around the same time, early 90s, late 80s, where we came in and we started watching it. We were young, and to me, something like this gives credence to how far it's come, and especially to the fan base. It's not just the Drive to Survive fan, which I don't have a problem with the Drive to Survive fan base. The other Buxton was on a show, Will Buxton. We talked extensively about the gatekeeping aspect and how there's so much of that goes on, and he was very adamant about, why wouldn't you want people to love the sport that you love? And it doesn't matter how they love it. What does it really matter, right? And that's what I think, looking at or seeing the Paddock Journal, but not just the Paddock Journal. I think it's what signifies. The Paddock Journal signifies like a larger movement around, there's fashion. I love seeing the fashion aspect. What a lot of folks that want to hate on the newer fan forget is that Formula One drivers are always stylish. I mean, have you seen some of the old fits? Like, do we remember, and I'm not, whatever, like the grid girls, all that kind of stuff. Do we remember Senna walking into the paddock? Even James Hunt, I mean, his style, the styles were different, but that's fine because styles evolve. And now we have different styles and different fits and different things that people care about. But it was always there. This culture was always there. It's just showing up in different ways. And that's what to me, that's what the Paddock Journal signifies. It's like, hey, we're showing up, but in a different way, or in a way that's more modern. It's a modern touch. Also, we used to have physical magazines back in the day. Yes. Autosport, F1 Racing, those magazines existed. And so not having a magazine anymore, like, there's a gap, there's a hole there. That's why I think you can touch the older crowd too, because now with a physical magazine, even your digital work is so high quality, it feels like a magazine. And to me, that's what, changes or differentiates. But before we go too deep into what you're doing now, I want to talk about what you've done in the past. So I want you to brag a little bit on yourself, because you've worked with some pretty big names, but tell the audience what you've done before you jumped into this world.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well,
Don't be humble.
I won't be humble. But I do want to say, we brought up Will Buxton a couple of times now. We are not related. I've been asked this. Well, not to my knowledge anyway. I would, Will, if you're listening, I will happily take a DNA test with you.
Breaking news.
But yeah, well, he's a great guy, and I'd love to interview him one day. So yeah, okay. So my past, then, I've done a lot of things. Oh my gosh, sorry, my dog is going through my trash. Can you give me 2 seconds? I'm just going to get her something.
Go for it.
She's all sorted. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Like, she couldn't care less if I'm doing work on my computer, but as soon as I'm talking to someone, she's like, give me attention.
Always. That's how they are. And my dog is the same way. You couldn't
Right.
care less if you're standing there trying to give them attention. And then
Yeah.
the minute you're on the phone,
Yeah.
they're always like that.
Okay, so shall I just keep talking?
Yeah. Just so what did I just ask you? I asked you to brag about yourself. So yeah, you can just jump into that.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so yeah, I've had an interesting past, I suppose. I've studied film production at university back in the early 2010s, worked in film for a long time. I kind of got my way into the art department, working on things like Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which was ridiculous. I've also done things with Peter Rabbit as well. I don't know if you've got kids, right? Like, if you've watched
Yeah.
the James Corden version, I worked on that. And then worked in advertising as well. I did a job with Rihanna once. I've been papped standing with Rihanna, and if you search me up in the Daily Mail, you'll find me. So I've done a lot of crazy things in that department. And then my passion has always been fashion photography and portrait photography. I entered that world several years ago and have worked, like you say, like with Laura Winter, and traveled the world. I've lived in Australia for a time. I've lived in Berlin for a time. I think I've always just been interested in the arts and travel and culture. So when I discovered Formula One, which, to be honest, I've known about Formula One for years. My dad used to watch it, even though he denies ever watching it for some reason. He was like, I've never been involved in it, but he definitely did. And I remember like learning about it and kind of getting interested in the strategy of it all and thinking, oh, I could maybe, get into this. To be honest with you, it wasn't until Drive to Survive that I really understood what it was all about, what the circus was, the drama and the storytelling and all of that. And I think because I have, a past or a background in production and in the arts, and I love to travel, F1 just kind of, it's a combination of all those things.
So
Yeah.
my entire career has been as a creative director at different ad agencies. So a lot of what you're saying resonates with me. And
Right.
so I'm thinking back to that day when you decide you're going to do this and you're going to create the Paddock Journal. Had you creative directed that in your head? Did you have this very crisp idea of what it was going to look like, what you wanted to do with it? And then if you could also go into a little bit, like, at what point shortly after was there a tipping point where you're like, oh man, this is taking off? Like, what single thing made that happen?
Yeah. So, maybe you found this too, Lali, but like working in the creative industry, I feel like you're always having to sell yourself. You're constantly having to,
Oh, I need to touch on that. Yes. You are a creative, you are a salesperson, and people don't understand how much of being a creative is constantly pitching yourself, your creative, your idea, because that's what you're trying to get, buy-in on your idea. So I adore that you just said that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You're constantly having to push yourself and market yourself. And so I had the really wonderful opportunity, like I said, to work with Laura Winter. And we were talking about getting an interview and a photo shoot done with her that we could publish in a major magazine like The Guardian or Sunday Times or something, because I think her story is really interesting, and especially around International Women's Day, like there could be something there. So we pitched pitched the idea around a magazine, and just no one was that interested, which I was really, I was really shocked about. And I was thinking, okay, look, so there needs to be something out there that is fashion and Formula One related, like how they do in football and basketball and, NFL, all these kind of sports. There is a magazine or a space where they talk about the culture of the sport. So I was trying to find something F1 related. And there are some things out there, like, don't get me wrong, but there was nothing that resonated with me as a woman, as a fashion lover, So I just thought, like, that's crazy. That's crazy that this doesn't exist. The sport has been around for 75 years, 76 years, and there's nothing like this that's around. Maybe I can give it a go. I've got this background. I understand fashion. I understand photography. I understand marketing because I've had to market myself all my life. So maybe I could give this a go. So I took inspiration from the fashion world to create the Paddock Journal. Did not expect it to do well. I thought it might be just a little something I do one a day a week to complement my photography. But within a few weeks, I think I didn't tell Laura Winter to do this, but she found what I was doing and was like, this is amazing, and shared about it on her own platform. And it kind of exploded from there. And then a few other posts just did really well. I just kind of caught some sort of zeitgeist, and it kept growing and growing and growing. And I think the biggest thing that I'm shocked about is how many people within the Formula One industry are interested in what we're doing. It's not just the fans. So that shows that I've clearly captured something, you know, and I'm running with it. I'm just going to see what happens next.
Yeah, you keep riding the wave for sure.
Yeah.
So tell me, how often are you getting reached out to by teams, brands? Like, you don't have to name anybody specifically, do whatever you want, but how often is that happening for you now? Because a lot of folks, that you set that out. What I think is really interesting about what you just said is that you didn't set out to make, it wasn't really the goal. You just were like, yeah, this is something I want to do for fun and for me, right? For yourself. But because you put all of yourself into it, it resonated. So now I know you have brands working with you, and people can go see that on your Instagram account and everywhere. You could just see everyone that you're working with. But how often are you getting reached out to, and how many times are you saying no? That's what I'm really curious about.
I mean, so we're just under a year old, so we're still figuring out the whole sort of brand and partnership side of it all. You know, it's, as you guys know, it's quite an interesting landscape, and there's no rules to it. So we're trying to like figure out, you know, what rules work for us. But yeah, we're getting reached out to quite often, more than I ever expected. And like I said, I'm used to fighting. I'm used to saying, hey, I'm here, I'm worth working with. Please give me a chance. You know I can do this. And I'm now waking up to emails in my inbox saying, hey, we really want to work with you. You don't have to prove anything.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
Nice. That's so nice.
I'm not used to it. I need to get better. Yeah. Trusting myself, I suppose.
That's Esmé, so early on so let's talk about the business a little bit of what you're doing.
Yeah, that's what you guys do.
So Laura Winters does that post. You start taking off in those first few weeks. At what point actually are you like, I have a business here? Like, I maybe don't have to do my freelance photography and that hustle. Like, that life may be coming to an end. When did that start happening for you?
I think that started happening. That's a good question. Let me think about that. I think it was around the Dutch Grand Prix last year. I wanted to go and I wanted to get paddock access and actually, you know, go to the Dutch Grand Prix as a business rather than as a fan. And I was thinking about ways how to do that. You know, how do people get paddock access? And kind of through some research and just being audacious, I suppose, I reached out to some brands to see if they would want to, you know, look after me. And I reached out to Alpine Stars Reserve, happy to give them a shout out because they're incredible. And they already knew who we were. It wasn't a hard sell. And I kind of thought, okay, so if Alpine Stars know who we are, maybe this is worth really pursuing, you know, and then getting access to that world and seeing how it works. You kind of realize, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but you realize that everybody's just trying to figure it out. Like, you know, you see these teams and you see, you know, the people in the paddock, and you think, oh my gosh, they all know exactly what they're doing. You know, they've all got their business sorted. But we're all the same.
Yeah.
You know, me a year in or a huge conglomerate, like 25 years in, we're all just trying to figure it out. And that was when I realized I deserve to be here and I can make this into a proper business.
I love that you just said that.
Yep, love that. I love that.
Because women, sometimes we have this enormous amount of imposter syndrome, especially associated with motorsport. Vincenzo knows I've struggled with that as well. Sort of this, and I have been a little bit ostracized. I had a whole rant about it when we had Marshall Pruitt on the podcast. But I love that you felt that, like, I belong here, because guess what? We do belong. You belong, I belong, all the other women involved, we belong, and we have a voice and we have opinions, and they deserve to be heard. And I'm so pleased that you're getting your moment in the sun, because you deserve it.
Yeah, thank you. And so do you. And I spoke with a neuroscience and psychologist expert for International Women's Day called Dr. Marcia Goddard, and we spoke a lot about imposter syndrome, and she was saying that word needs to like leave our language, because not a real thing. Like, imposter syndrome is not a real syndrome. It's just us telling ourselves we don't deserve to be here, and the more that we tell our brains something, the more we believe it, right? So if we go, oh, I don't deserve to be here, oh, I have imposter syndrome, then we start to think like there is something wrong with us, or, you know, there's a legitimacy to why we feel worried, you know? So just screw it. Do it anyway.
The other thing I say, Vincenzo, right? Fake it till you make it.
it. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
true. I mean, here's the thing. I have a love-hate with that phrase because some people are faking it when they don't have anything to rest, like they're just faking everything. That I don't agree with.
No.
But to your point, Esme, where you're like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I know that I bring value. So yeah, maybe I do have to just go along with it, and I'm going to act like I belong here. Oh, wait a minute. I do belong here, right? You already told yourself, I'm going to act like I do. And so now I do, because you've already told yourself in your head, this is what I'm going to, how I'm going to present myself. I'm curious. Go ahead if you want to say something.
Well, I just want to say one last thing on that is that I think something that I get a lot of people reaching out to me asking how to do what I'm doing. They want to get involved. They want to know how to do what I'm doing. And I had a really interesting chat with Cassidy Tauris when we were working together. And she said to me, hey, like, I just want to thank you for reaching out to me about this. She said, no one reaches out to me. They all reach out to Dan Tauris, her husband, and you're thinking, yes, she's got something to say. And I thought reaching out to her was a big deal and I possibly couldn't talk to her, And so everyone's thinking we can't talk to each other when we should just try.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say this, and I do want to ask you about Zandvoort, so don't let me forget.
Okay,
But
sorry.
no. I want to piggyback off what you just said, because even with us with this podcast is only a few months old. We started it. We decided to start it after we started working a little bit more closely together, and we said, let's do this podcast. We don't know if we're going to get these guests. Lali says to me, okay, by the end of next year, so one full year of the podcast, I want to get at least one, I think she said one IndyCar driver and one active Formula One driver on the podcast.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, that was just.
But it was like blue skying. Like,
it was, yeah, we're like low goal, that's whatever. And then next thing you know, we just started asking people to be on the show. I did nothing like special. We didn't even ask for introductions most of the time. It was just, here's a LinkedIn DM, here's an Instagram DM, here's a Twitter DM. Next thing you know, we've got Connor Daly, James Hinchcliffe, Mario Andretti.
Real. Yeah.
Mark Blundell. We've had CEOs of Formula E on the show. People have not said no. It's actually, knock on wood, right now. We had Will Buxton recently on the show.
We have a few lined up that are quite special as well that we can't say yet.
Yeah.
Wow.
But like you said, you just made a really, really good point. You reached out to Cassidy. You're thinking, oh my God, this is a big deal. Just like us. Like I reached out to Mario Andretti and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is huge. Like hero, childhood, like legend. And you should have seen the email I got back. It was like, yeah, how about this time? It wasn't even, there was no negotiation. It was just like, yeah, are you available this time? Yep. Okay.
People, I think that doing this, and I hope you've had the same experience, like people want to tell their story. I always say that's people want to tell their story. And if you're nice and open and kind, and they'll come on perhaps and they'll tell their story. People often tell me, how did you get Mario Andretti? How did you get Will Buxton? How did you get James Hinchcliffe? And you know what I say? We asked.
Exactly. That's it. I always say that. You just have to ask. And I think what I'm kind of learning about the F1 space, coming from the fashion world, a lot of what I'm bringing to the F1 space is already happening in fashion. So my mind is going, oh, this has been done before. There's no point.
Yeah.
Not being done in F1,
Yep.
So whatever you want to do in F1, there's a huge space for it. So you just got to try. You just got to do it.
I'll tell you, the inspiration for Business of Speed was Business of Fashion.
There you go. Exactly.
Ironic. I just to tie those worlds together. It was one of, but it's what really helped me click when I kind of went all into Business Speed. All right, I got to get back to Zandvoort because I wanted to ask you right away. Zandvoort, you said that's when you realized it. How long had you been doing the Paddock Journal at that point when you got to Zandvoort where you're like, okay, I want to make this a thing? Like, what was the time between those two things happening?
Okay, remind me when Zandvoort was again.
September. It's September.
September. Okay, so we started in March.
Okay.
So like about 5-6 months.
5-6 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
I keep saying we started. I started.
Well, you started, and then you started building out the team, which I want to talk about the team a little bit because I know you have some other amazing women that are helping you out. Also, you do something very interesting. I guess we could just talk about it now, but before we get to that, so it's about 6 months where you went from I started it from nothing, zero.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was less than 6 months, to be honest with you. I think it was just that sort of, it's hard to quantify because it's been so fast. You know, everything's just gone so quickly. But I think it was that kind of realization. Well, first of all, that I know that building something on Instagram and building something online isn't nothing, you know, but like 10 years ago, that's a frivolous thing that, oh, you know, you're building something online. It's not a big deal. Whereas now it's an entire economy, right? So,
Oh yeah.
you know, that growing online can become a business. So I was very aware of that. And also, it was just an instinct. There's just something,
Yeah.
you know, instinctually, you kind of go, okay, there's something here. This isn't just a hobby. This isn't like just one of a million other accounts. Like there is something in this. So just keep riding it and treat it like a business in my head. And, you know, and then
Yeah.
what happens?
No, it's good to hear that it's not, there wasn't like, I didn't know what your answer was going to be, but I'm thinking like, there doesn't have to be this elaborate story. Not everything is, right? I mean, I think of the story of Lali and I coming together. I had started Business of Speed. It was just there. I was doing things not as consistent as I wanted to. And Lali comes along. She saw a video of me sabering a champagne bottle on LinkedIn. And she reached out to me.
Like Napoleon Bonaparte, people like Napoleon. He was in a tux, like out in the cold someplace, and like it's snowing. He's in a tux. No, Vincenzo, that's how you were. I'm going to tell the story. It's literally like cold out. You can tell it's winter. He has a champagne bottle. And he sabers it like Napoleon Bonaparte. And I'm thinking,
Still have that
what
saber.
did I just witness?
And Lali, you were like, that's my business partner right there.
Actually, she thought I was an idiot. I'm pretty sure she thought I was a complete like psychopath. Like, what is wrong with you?
I just thought, why is this on LinkedIn? But I can't stop looking.
I think it was my answer. I think she was like, why did you post this on LinkedIn? And I said, I don't know. Why not? And she's like, okay, we should talk.
Can I ask a little bit about racing?
Yeah.
So I want to ask a little bit, now that you're so heavily involved in Formula One specifically, is that your main motorsport outlet? Do you enjoy other forms of racing? And how into Formula One have you gotten? Are you watching the series? Are you watching sessions? Tell us about that.
Yeah. Formula One and Formula One Academy are the two sports that I watch religiously. I'm slowly learning about MotoGP, IndyCar, NASCAR. I haven't watched any of them yet, so I'd happily let you guys teach me. But I do know, I think a couple of things are going on, right? So I know that the reason why the Paddock Journal works is because we're so niche. And I think this is something that people tell you a lot when you're starting a business, or especially an online business, is like niche down, niche down, niche down. And a lot of people refuse to do that. And I completely respect that. But I do think our sort of secret sauce is the fact that we do just focus on F1 and F1 Academy. A, because I love it, and B, because the more, I think anyway, the more like specific you are, the more audiences know what to expect every day. You know, which, you know, works for some people, doesn't work for others, is, you know, completely fine. But I think that's what's working for us at the minute. But yeah, obsessed with the F1. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, I do feel like I've got friends who don't love F1 and they ask me about it. And I don't know why, but I get all embarrassed to talk about it.
Oh, you should be so proud.
Don't do that.
I was at a restaurant last night, and I had my phone 8:30 p.m. watching FP1. And I said, I'm sorry, I have to do this. And I took out my phone. I would just watch the whole session. And then also I'm going to tweet about it. So like, no, you should be loud and proud.
Be loud and proud.
It's a beautiful sport to be a fan of.
It is.
Yeah, it's quite a unique thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's come a long way. And I think, you know, this entire conversation just proves that if you want to do something, you just do it. There really is no, people have asked, they ask me, I'm sure they ask, you know, all three of us here, like, oh, how do you do it? Or what do you do to do that? And it's like, do I give you like some big grandiose answer, or do I just tell you?
Yeah.
I just started posting. But I think this is the biggest thing that people have to get over, is the cringe part, right? That initial cringe where you post something and your family sees it and they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What is that? Well, it's something I like to talk about. And then you post again. And then eventually it just gets to the point where I remember when I stopped posting for a little while because I was trying to figure things out. And people were like, hey, when are you going to post about Formula One again? We really like that. And I was like, oh, okay. But they don't tell you sometimes. They're not actively letting you know.
I agree. Yeah. It's like, when I do post, you don't say anything, but then
Yeah.
I'm like,
I know.
you don't like it. You don't share it. You don't respond to me at all. You don't text me about it. Like, I didn't even know you wanted it.
Miss it when it's gone.
Esme, how much copycat accounts have you had? Are people sort of starting to imitate what you're doing? Are you flattered by that? Do you hate it? How do you feel about
Yeah, I am flattered about it. I think to go back to your question, first of all, Vincenzo, about, I can't remember what your question even was, but to go back to kind of talking about like just
I don't
doing
remember
it.
either.
Just do it. Just
Yeah.
do it. Just do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
I think
It's a statement.
just do it. Yeah, we're just stealing that from Nike, but to just do it is true. You should just do whatever you want to do. But I do think there is a level, like, I couldn't have just done this 10 years ago because of who I was as a person back then. What I knew, the knowledge I had, the skills and experience that I had. It's only because I have worked extensively in film production and fashion and photography and marketing that I understand how to make this work, So I think if you want to just do it, do your research as well. Don't just kind of throw stuff at the wall and hope it sticks,
Yeah.
Know
know it and then do it? You have to be
it.
knowledgeable in whatever I feel
Yeah.
like when I met Vincenzo, I felt like it was a culmination of a lifetime of education in motorsport.
Yeah.
And meeting him was a catalyst for me of like, finally, I have this outlet for this like lifelong knowledge. So I knew it and then I did it.
Yeah.
What piece of advice would you give to someone aside from just do it? Like, what is the best piece of advice that you would give to someone who wanted to get involved in maybe not even necessarily Formula One or motorsport related? It's just like, if to follow their passion, like, what would you say to someone about that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You can think about it. All good.
I mean, if you want to follow your passion, I think get clear on what your passion is. I think that's one thing. You can be passionate about a lot of things, but be clear on the thing that you want to do forever, right? Because that's different for everybody. Just doing it is easy, but I think just find out who you are as well. Like, discover who you are first. Do a bit of soul searching, because as well, like Lali, to talk about the copycat accounts that are coming out now. Yes, I'm noticing them, and yes, there are some, and I think there are some that are doing it incredibly well, and some that aren't. And the ones that are doing it well are the ones who know who they are, know what they're about, and are coming up with their own take on things. It's the copycat accounts who just want the kudos, or just want the paddock pass, or just want the clout that comes with F1 that you can see straight through.
That's so funny you say the paddock pat, because if you go on, I don't know how often you're on threads on the
more often than I'd
Instagrams.
like to be honest.
So every time I go there, I'm reminded as to why I don't want to spend time there, because all it is, or all it feels like, is people just saying, can't wait for the F1 season, would love to get paddock passes or something, like something along those lines. Like rough post is like, how do I get a brand to give me access, or how do I get F1? I want to, and I'm just thinking, and then you click on their profile and the follower count doesn't matter, but it's like, they're not even posting about what they're asking for. And I'm like, how do you expect? You're not even posting anything at all. They're usually like their newer account. And I'm just like, how do you just expect?
And there'll be the same accounts that go, why are all these celebrities and influencers in the paddock? Why aren't the fans? It's like, because the fans, sadly, don't make money.
I think there's such a, you made a comment, you said earlier that of all the things that you've done to get to the point of Paddock Journal, right? You didn't just suddenly start Paddock Journal with zero experience of anything else. Like, you're a phenomenal photographer. You have an incredible creative eye. There's a lot to what you do that translates over to other skills. Lali was a creative director for many, like, it's not like, oh, I just showed up and I like motorsport. Okay, cool. So do 827 million other people. They like this. They like Formula One. So get in line. You have these transferable skills that you've taken and brought to the table, and you figured out how to put them together to create a single package that makes sense for people. I don't think people realize how, because I've gotten comments. I'm sure you get comments. I know people get comments. My wife's a YouTuber. She's been doing this since like 2009. Comments from my family, her family, friends. Oh, you're just posting a video. Like, you're not doing anything. You're just posting on social media. And it's like,
I wish it was that easy.
No, like, this podcast goes out, and then it's, okay, we cut the clips. This is just for one piece of content, right? Just for the podcast, not anything else. all those clips have to be posted individually with individual captions depending on what platform they're on. Maybe some different styling depending on the platform they're on. You know, there's the tagging. There's all that stuff that goes into it. It takes 15 to 20 minutes per platform sometimes to post one video. I'm like, no, it's not as simple as just posting a video and like getting followers. Thanks, though.
People don't understand the work that goes. I feel like people that don't do any specific thing they don't understand the work that goes behind it. So for instance, you're a photographer, right? People think you just show up, you grab your camera, you hit the thing, and there's your beautiful photo. They don't understand that you've already sketched this out. You've creative directed this in your mind. You know exactly what it needs to look like. You need the lighting, you need the wardrobe, you need the angle, you need the natural light to cooperate. You need the location. Like, there's so much. It's not just showing up and clicking your camera. People don't realize how much work is involved in a lot of things in the creative field. Even now in the creator content field, people just don't understand. They think it's a silly pastime.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and you'll know this as well, Lali. Like, you can't just think about the end product either. You have to think about how it's going to be received, and you have to think
100%.
about, you know, the marketing that goes behind it, and, you know, like you say, the different platform, what audience is going to be, you know, using those platforms, how are we wording this differently? You know, it's a huge operation, and I think people that. And I've seen this a lot this year, actually. A lot of new people coming into F1 wanting to be content creators or wanting to have an account online. Incredible. There's room for everybody. I always say that there's room for everybody. There's, you know, no gatekeeping, no competition. But the people that succeed are the ones that understand that it's a business, understand that F1 is a business, and what they're producing is also a business. And the ones that want to be a fan, that to get a paddock pass or to get access to the sport, are the ones that are going to struggle to really succeed, I think.
Because people see through that eventually too.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. People become more and more savvy. So they know who's there for the right reasons, because it is a business, because they love the sport, because they're knowledgeable, because they have an opinion that is worth sharing. And who's there, as Vincenzo often complains, the people on Threads who just want a paddock pass and they just want to be able to take a selfie with the Ferrari garage behind them, so that they just sort of show it off to the world. Or here I am in the pad. You know, I could go down a rabbit hole of cringe things that you see of people just posing.
It's a whole space. We could probably go down this rabbit hole all day long, I'm sure. But let's talk about this is the first weekend. We're recording in the middle of the first weekend of the season. Did you get a chance to watch either practice session already?
I don't know what the time difference is for you guys, but it's crazy in the UK. It's like, I think it's 10 or 11 hours ahead. So
we are, for us on our time zone, New York time zone, Lali's in Toronto, same time zone though. 8:30 p.m. for practice 1, and then 11 or 11:30 for practice 2. So it'll be the same thing for FP3 and quali.
FP3's at 8:30. So, but we haven't asked you either. What team do you support? What driver do you support?
I want to know. Wait. She said it was early. What time was it in the UK? I got to know.
I don't actually know what time the free practice is, but I know that the race is at 4 a.m. We're waking up at 4 a.m. Which I know you guys have to do that for all the European races, so we're sorry about that.
We do that too. So, but it's okay. I get it is early.
Vincenzo, especially you and I, because now they're a little bit more favorable for Eastern time. Vincenzo and I grew up with the 4 a.m.
Oh, the 4 a.m., the 3 a.m., the 2, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, I'll wake up for it. Don't get me wrong. I am awake and ready at 4 a.m. for the Australian Grand Prix. But but I haven't actually watched any of the free practice yet. I will watch quali, definitely. But I also think, I don't know what you guys think about this, but everyone gets so excited because Ferrari do really well in free practice and they go, this is it. And then
I know. No, I know that.
Is that your team?
I've done this for 30 plus years. The pain is real.
I do love Ferrari. I would say Ferrari got me into Formula One because, as everyone says, you know, you draw a race car, it's red, right? But I have been incredibly disappointed with how they've run their strategy and how they've sort of treated Lewis last year. I think was disappointing. Obviously, we will never know the ins and outs of the organization, but from the outside, they could have done it better. And I've been incredibly interested in the rise of Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Big Carlos Sainz fan. I think, you know, yes, he's good looking, but that's absolutely not the reason why I'm a fan of him. I think he's
not at all. Not at all. None.
Like 5%. We'll say 5%.
I mean, I'm a Carlos Sainz fan because he's so good looking. He just happens to have a great head of hair.
He just happens to be good looking.
But he's also a strategist and he really cares about the sport. He's got this sort of empathy for his teammates, which, it's not a coincidence that he's friends with everyone he's ever been on a team with,
It's true.
And, from being a kind of an empath myself, I'm like, loving the story of F1. I think what Williams are doing and how they brought Carlos Sainz in, and he got a podium in his first year with them from leaving Ferrari. Like, oh my God, the story there writes itself. It's so exciting.
He's the whole Williams story is fantastic. I mean, to me, Formula One is not Formula One if Williams and Ferrari are not doing well, right? If Ferrari and Williams doing well, or at least giving us positive stories most of the time, Formula One is more interesting to me. I've always felt that way.
Yeah. And I think that what they've done bringing in James Vowles was genius. And he really likes his two drivers. I think that, and they're both really committed to not just like short term, they seem both really committed to Project Williams and making that team go back to where the glory days, Vincenzo, just where they should be. It's such a remarkable story, the whole arc of that team, and that we've been sort of in the lowlands for them for so long. It would be so nice to see them.
Yeah.
It's just a good story.
It's an amazing story. And maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I would love to see Claire Williams return at some point in some capacity. Bring it back home.
Interesting. I love her, and somebody sent me a text message recently that I completely disagreed with. They said, "Oh, Claire Williams was on Drive to Survive. I don't know if that's a dated choice." And I said, "Absolutely not a dated choice.
No,
Absolutely
I
not.
agree.
She's wonderful. She's so knowledgeable." I was like, "Nope, I disagree with this. She's a wonderful choice."
It would be great to see her back in the paddock regularly. It would be great for them to find a way to get her involved again. It would just, that whole situation is interesting. Is it? And there's a lot of stories to be pulled from that, from the whole Williams team. They are a story waiting to happen. Sometimes I wish they would tell some of those stories, but it's just me saying it.
We're here, guys. The Paddock Journal, Business of Speed. We're ready for them to tell those stories with us.
We do need some good photography. Might know a photographer. We keep saying, actually, Lali and I keep saying we need professional photos of like ourselves at the track. So we were at
Miami, by the way. I'm going to be at Miami.
Oh, will you? Okay.
Working on it. Could be.
Come to Miami. We'll do this.
Interesting.
It has to happen. Like I am sick of using photos that we anyway.
Vincenzo, you're a genius. Yes, Esmé's gonna do our photos that we've been wanting forever.
Well, I had already asked her. I was like, at some point, I want to get professional photos. Like, I want to hire you to do photos for us. And now I'm like, oh wait, we need photos together. So anyway, throwing that out there.
You're creative directing it, Esmé. Start thinking. I'm willing to do anything.
All right, predictions for the season. What are your expectations and predictions for the season? Two different kind of things. What's your expectations, and then what do you actually predict is going to happen? Curious.
So my expectation for this season is that everybody stays on track. I have a feeling that it's going to be chaos. I'd like to be right. I want there to be a bit of chaos this year. I want these new regulations to flip everything on its head. I'd love to. At the time of recording, Aston Martin are not going to compete in the Australian Grand Prix, right? Is that happening still?
There is
officially said not compete, but
Alonso didn't go out for practice at all. Stroll ran a few laps, but they say that like it can cause the car might cause nerve damage. So I can't see those guys if they do turn a couple laps, it'll be like 14, 15 laps, and that's it. From what the speculation is as of today, which is Friday, we'll see.
We'll see.
To me, that's
insane.
insane. Yeah, insane, absolutely insane. Obviously, I wish no ill will on anybody, and no nerve damage involved. But I do think that these new regulations are going to cause chaos. I think there's some teams have found loopholes, some teams are finding loopholes, and we're going to see some really interesting racing. And I think my predictions are. Do you know what? I don't know. I think actually my predictions are that Lewis is going to do much better this year in Ferrari. Well, from what we've seen in testing, right, he seems to have a real handle on the new car, which is exciting. Yep. I think I'm going to speak this into existence, and I do hope I'm wrong, but I think he's going to do really well this year, potentially win or at least top 3, and then he's going to retire.
No, darling, sorry. He just said that he won't retire until there's an African Grand Prix.
Okay.
He has just said that. So we have,
Okay.
hopefully he stays true to that.
Yeah, he wants to race in Africa.
But he
He
really
wants to
wants to
race in
race in Africa.
Okay,
But who knows?
let's get him to racing in Africa. I'm up for that.
Listen, from what I know about the team in Maranello is that they can really wear you down, and even the strongest of humans can be worn down. So even if Lewis wants to race there, it may not be in red. I'll just say that.
That's true.
True.
It may not be in red, but we'll see. Hopefully a leaf has turned. I will say the cars being lighter, you can brake later, do fit into Lewis's style a little bit. Who I would have loved to see under these regulations is Danny Ricciardo.
Oh yeah.
He would have really been, I think, taking advantage. But yeah, who's gonna win? This is a question for all three of us. Let's all give our predictions right now. Who's gonna win? Who's winning the championship, the drivers' championship this season?
Well, let
Esmé
our guest
first.
say
Esmé
first.
first. Yeah.
Yeah, first. Okay. I think Oscar Piastri has a really good shot. I think he had a good shot last year. I don't know what happened. He bottled it. Something happened. I think this year might be Oscar's year. You're looking at me like I'm crazy.
No.
He basically had it in his hands, and Baku
Right.
happened, and he basically lost it after Baku. So you're not. He's an assassin. He's like incredible. So
We love Oscar Piastri on the show.
We
Like,
love
are
him.
big
Okay.
Oscar Piastri fans.
like I've never met a more ice cold assassin. It's like
He really is.
incredible. Vince, you go next. I want to leave mine for last.
So I don't love the McLarens this year. If this was last year's McLaren, I would have, and it was another year in the regulations, I would have said Piastri because of the regulation set and seeing kind of what's going on. I am actually going to go with someone who I have not been a big fan of. I like him, George Russell,
Yeah,
Which-
I see that.
which pains me to say. Because obviously I don't want to see Mercedes win. I'm not a Mercedes fan, but I say I'm not a Mercedes fan as I drink out of my Mercedes mug. Yeah, no, I think George Russell. He was so consistent last year. I think the story of his season was so underrated. It was almost like he just flew under the radar because of everything else happening in the top three battle, and just obviously Verstappen coming back was out of this world.
Crazy.
So I think George Russell went so far under the radar. If Mercedes did really nail this engine reg, which we'll find out in quali, we won't find out until the race really, but I think quali will really see what that thing's made of. If they did, then I think it's going to be George.
So I was going to say George, but for fun, I'm going to say someone else because then it won't be any fun. But I agree with everything Vincenzo just said. 100%. I think George has it. I'm going to put an outlier there, and I'm going to say that Max Verstappen gets his fifth.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it could very much happen. But I do think George has got a really good chance. He's kind of got that energy of kid that's like been a kid that's been revising for his exam for years and years and years and years. He's got all of this knowledge behind him now, and this is his time. Yeah,
he's primed.
I mean,
he's primed, as they say.
It's also hard. It's hard to bet against Verstappen. But also, again, new regulation set. It looks like he might actually have a decent teammate behind him this year, which would be great for the team. The team looks rejuvenated now, getting rid of Horner, which just seemed to be more of a cancer than anything over the past couple years. Like they feels differently. Sorry, it feels different. And I was gonna say Laurent Mekies is running the team differently. Everything just feels a lot different coming out of it. And then I think that the variable was the Ford power unit or the Oracle. Whatever, Red Bull power unit, Ford, whatever they're calling it now.
Red Bull
I think
Ford,
that was the variable, but it looks formidable. So I would Max Verstappen, best driver on the grid by far. You can't bet against him. I do like that.
No, but you already bet on George, so I'm sorry, Max is
I said George. No. I'm sticking. I am sticking to George. So we have George, Oscar, Max. I mean, you'll probably see a lot of those in the top three this year. That's also a good prediction. So.
Could you imagine having this conversation 2 or 3 years ago? It would be Max. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the fact we've got 3 very different predictions is great. Great for the sport. Great as a fan.
Sure.
What I think is very telling is that none of us picked Lando.
No.
Which I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it at that.
He's lovely. He's lovely.
He's a great, we love Lando.
He's a great guy. We love Lando.
And Lali and I have talked ad nauseum about Lando on the show. All right, Esmé, It has been fantastic spending time with you. I want you to before I let you go, tell us one big thing you have coming up with the Paddock Journal or in life that you want to share that's coming up.
Okay, oh my gosh, yeah. So the most exciting thing we've got coming up at the minute is we're doing a huge, what would you call it? Maybe I'll start again. So the biggest thing we've got going on this year is that we're partnering with the Pop-Up Hotel, and we're producing a thing called the Paddock Journal Atelier, which is a showroom and shopping concierge service at the Monaco and the Silverstone Grand Prix. So you're going to be able to come and shop fashion brands that are related to F1 and not related to F1. And it's going to be like something you've actually never seen in F1 before. And I'm really excited to be part of that.
Girl,
And
you
it only
lived the
took us
dream.
55 minutes to get to this.
That is
You didn't ask.
insane. Good for you. You should be so freaking proud of yourself. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that when I'm there and it's created and it's done, I will be able to relax. But until then, we are duck under the water.
Any way we can support, we are happy to support. Feel free to reach out genuinely, like whatever we can do. Amazing that you're doing that, by the way.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
I think things like that, taking experiences to the next level and keeping them within your niche, just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense.
People want to get off the internet. They want to come and, come to Grand Prix, read magazines. They want to get offline, and we want to be there providing those experiences for them. So yeah, I'm excited.
Where can the audience find you online? Obviously, it's the only place they probably could.
Yeah.
Reach you. We don't want to let them know where you live. That's not what we want to do. Where can they find you? How can they connect with you? How can the brands reach out to you to work with you?
Yeah, sure. Well, you can find us at thepaddockjournal.com. We've got a proper website now, and it all links to our Substack, and all our email addresses are on there. And you can also find us on Instagram at the Paddock Journal. And yeah, send us a DM. It's me that runs the account, so I will be the one responding.
What an absolute delight to meet you, to talk to you. It's amazing what you're doing, what you've accomplished in a year, basically, because we're recording this in March. So in a year, look how far you've come.
Till anniversary.
There you go. It's absolutely you are you're a powerhouse. I'm so happy to have met you, to have connected. I'm sure that a lot of people will be inspired by your story. So this is lovely. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's lovely to meet you both. Likewise, what you guys are doing is unbelievable, and you deserve all the flowers, and I hope you keep growing as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That means a lot. Thank you so much for joining us. Ciao.